Yo, guys, it's Jamar Carter, and we're back with another episode of the Road to Greatness podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have the Torian Blackburn.
Not the Torian.
The Torian Blackburn. No, you deserve the.
I appreciate it.
First off, how are you doing?
I'm good. Just got back from a T-Pain concert in Nashville. So, great time, great vibes.
How was it?
Amazing. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
We love
For
T-Pain.
sure.
We love T-Pain. I imagine live, it's just even better.
Oh, yeah. I was telling somebody I felt like I was in a Miami nightclub for like an hour and a half with the interlude of like Tennessee whiskey and Don't Stop Believing, but back to the Miami nightclub. So it was great.
So my question, was it like T-Pain auto-tune like all the works, or was it T-Pain like pulled back acoustic, like, or was it mixture?
It was like a good mix. Like he had his DJ Monte, who was fire. But you could tell like the auto-tune was a little bit less than you would have on an album. And then he went into like straight acoustics during his cover. So it was great.
Wow, that's so fun. Did he sing any songs that weren't his, that were just like?
He put in some songs that were like relevant to like nowadays. So like Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, like that was included in it. So you had those like transition of like songs that are now, but then you also had throwbacks.
No, that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. So first off, for everybody out there listening who doesn't know what you do and like what your life is about, tell me a little rundown of what you do on the day to day.
Yeah. So on the day to day, I would say my 9 to 5. That's not a 9 to 5 by any means necessary. I'm the community outreach and events manager for the Orion Amphitheater.
Oh wow. Okay. So you're dealing with basically you handling events that come through Huntsville at the Orion Theater.
Yes. So basically, if it's not a concert and not a fully corporate like private event,
Right.
then it kind of lands in my bucket. And I'm also tasked with making sure that we're kind of keeping our pulse on the community of like what the community wants to see, what the community needs, and just being a community resource.
Y'all heard that. Now I don't want y'all to go bugging this girl, but I'm guessing that they encourage, I guess feedback and what, Huntsville wants to see as far as local community events and programs.
Absolutely. Okay. And I think my job is so fun because I get to work with other people who are making their event realities come true. Their event dreams come true, but I'm also getting to challenge myself and seeing those like gaps and how we can fill in and how we can produce events that kind of fit within our pillars of, what we need to do on our community and culture side, but also is able to lend itself to the community.
No, that's a very beautiful position to be in. And I honestly, I think it's very beautiful actually, because the Road to Greatness podcast, it's all about finding people, whether they're hidden gems or if they're like popular people, but it's about finding people in the community that are actually doing great things and then trying to highlight those. And I feel like we're kind of similar in that because you're working with the community. It's not like you're working with just only main name brand concerts and artists coming into town. It's people, it's us, So I think that's just always a beautiful position to be in. Very fulfilling actually, So okay, well my question is this. Let's talk a little bit about your story. So tell me about you. Like if somebody could give you a platform to tell your upbringing and your story and how you became you and how your mindset was created, what would that be?
Yeah, I would say I'm very fortunate to, have been raised here in Huntsville. I know me and you go way back. That sounds so long ago, but with us going to high school together.
Shout out to Lehigh.
High School, Go Generals.
Our 10-year is next year. Let's be ready for that, guys.
That's insane.
All right.
That's insane. But just being from Huntsville, I was raised in Heidelberg, Germany. I lived there for 3 years. My mom worked for the government. And then things kind of switched when my mom had a massive stroke in Germany. So we ultimately had to move back here. And I think a big part of, my story is my sister. I always give credit to who I am because of my sister. At the time, I think she was only like 12 when my mom had her stroke. And so she really stepped into that like parental figure role. And so I always say I was her first child because I truly was, and I gave her run for her money every single day. But I think that's a testament to just how close I am with my sister, and my sister has instilled so many values in me, along with my parents instilling values of just being supportive, being able to not only look out for yourself but also look out for others. And I think that's a major part of what I do at the Orion. Is I always say, like, I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to give people the platform to be able to do what they love, to do what their heart desires, and
Right.
to be able to give them that opportunity. And I don't take that for granted, and
Right.
I pray that nobody feels like I'm like, I gave you this opportunity to so you
Yeah.
owe me something. People don't owe me anything. Like,
Right.
I'm grateful to be in a position where I have this opportunity to plug in people into what we do, to plug in the community. And I'm so grateful to work with so many amazing people. And that's what I love to do.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of this book I read once a couple years back. It was called The Go Giver.
Mm.
And for anybody watching, I recommend you guys checking that out. It's called The Go Giver. And the main concept of the book is that what happens to a person when they try to help people. A lot of people, they live life just for themselves. They live life selfishly. And sometimes that's a bad thing. Sometimes you're just trying to survive, and, it's just the day to day. But the book is about a man who, was encouraged to try to help people for 24 hours.
Mm.
And one of the things is that, I think he was like a loan officer. And so all day he's just denying loans, because most people who apply for a loan, they don't have their paperwork right, or they're not in a good credit standing to get a loan, whatever. But some guy encouraged him to, like, help people out. And so he gave out loans, and he connected this person with this person in the industry, and did this and did that. But it kind of just reminds me of what you do. You're a plug. So you're finding and coming across people who have passions, who have visions for, events and concerts and all other types of programs. And then you're literally, being the liaison, the middleman between them, and being able to have a platform that, makes them feel great, and gets them exposure. And, so, I mean, you can't be in a more blessed position, honestly. And I think God only puts people in those positions that can handle that pressure and handle that responsibility of, like, giving people chances and stuff.
Yeah, and it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure that I put on myself because I think I'm very mindful of what I do. And I think, recently I was just overwhelmed because of the fact that, like, we do so many events. In a year we do upwards of like 85 to 90 events.
Right.
When I think people don't think about that is we really only do about 30 to 35 concerts a year at the Orion. But we have about 90 events that we do a year. And with the work that I do, we really don't have an off season where, the Orion kind of shuts down for concerts because it gets, way too cold.
Right.
But we kind of bring things in-house, and we do more intimate style events. And so I've challenged myself to be able, because I used to say, I have to do this, I have to do that. But now it's more, I change my perspective of things, and I always say I get to do something. I get to have the opportunity to give people a platform. I get the opportunity to host an event at the Orion time and time again. I get to be able to connect with people in the community.
Now I have a question. I can get deep on this podcast. I often do it. So, let me know if it is too deep.
Yeah.
But what percentage of what you just said, what percentage of you saying you get to that mindset, that gratefulness, that humility of saying, I get to be in this position, I get to help these people, I get to connect this so-and-so and so-and-so. How much of that do you think plays a role in you being in the position you're in right now, and in having the grace of the position? Because right now you're in a coordinator's position. You're, for a 20, how old are you? I'm 20. You're 26. I'm 27. Before a 26-year-old, that's a big girl position. I mean, can we agree on that? That's a big girl position.
Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, wait a minute.
And I have something else to say about that too. But I guess what I want to ask is how much, when it comes to you elevating as a person and getting in these new positions and growing, how much of that how much does your humility and your gratefulness play a role in that? I mean, what do you feel about that?
Every day. And you wake up, well, I wake up and I'm like, okay, what do I have to do today? But then I stop and I'm like, God, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I don't have to punch in and punch out a job that I hate every single day. I'm grateful that I can wake up and call Doc Savage and be like, no, actually, funny story. I saw Doc Savage at the John Legend concert.
Right.
And he was our concert photographer for that concert. And I literally stopped him. I was like, hey, would you want to do like a photographer's gallery in our back of house space?
Right.
He's like, yeah, just call me. Let me know. Literally, I think like a month or two later, I picked up the phone. I was like, Doc, I need you. And he was like, yeah, Torian, I got you.
Right.
So it's like, that's what I get to do. Like, that's my job. That's my day in and day out is calling Doc Savage and asking if he'll do an art gallery. It's calling, Lee Adams of Spokes and Vogues and being like, Lee, can I borrow a couple cars for, this event? He's like, yeah, Tori, no problem. That's what I love. Like, that's truly what I love to do. And it's forming those connections that give me, it gives me that amp and that oomph to do it time and time again. And like I said, I don't name drop to name drop, but those two people for sure are people that I know that I can pick up a phone and call and they'll be there. And I hope and pray that they know that they can do that for me.
Right.
But there's a list of people who I can say that, and that's truly because of the work that we have done together and the relationship that I have with so many people in the community.
Right. And I think people, I feel like the way you are and do business, I think people know you're appreciative of them and that you're, a team player. So I just want to, kind of talk about a few different things. I want to talk about your, you said your mother had a stroke when you were at a young age. My question is this, let's fast forward a little bit. You're now a young adult. You're at Lee High School, right? I want to know, because if anybody knows anything about Tori, I always call her Tori, but if anybody knows anything about Tori, is that she was a hard worker. Like if you can, synonymously put her name with a word in the dictionary, it would be hardworking or, diligent. And for those who don't know, she used to be, actually, I'll let you tell what your role was in most of our high school productions and things like that. Yeah.
So at Lee High School, go Generals, I was in the technical theater magnet. And so a large part of my role is being a stage manager for theatrical productions.
Okay.
And I would say it is a glorified babysitter.
Right.
Because you are literally there for everybody and everything. If there's a problem, you're the person. If there's an issue, you're the person. Like, if things go right, you really don't get the spotlight.
Right.
But if things go wrong,
you're the one.
You're the one that
Where's Tori at? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, I loved it because I felt like I connected to so many people, like 100%, yourself.
100%.
But it also, looking back, it also made me grow up so fast. And I think looking back, it made me feel like I was an adult. And so looking back, I think I would have wished that I was more of a high schooler. I don't feel like I soaked up that moment when I did. And I felt like in that role of being everybody's go-to person, I felt like
you weren't your own go-to person. You weren't your own. Yeah. You as a kid, nobody wants to have that level of pressure and then have to jump into the adult world and have that pressure times 10. Yeah. So it's like, no, I'm with you on that. And honestly, I kind of want to just rant a little bit about what you just said. I think there's a trend going on though, and I want to say this. I believe that God did that to most of the people who are running the show now. So, for example, you're in a coordinator's position. You're in a position of sovereignty. I'm sorry, I love that word. It's a little strong, but sovereignty, meaning like you make decisions. You are a owner or make decisions. Not saying you own the Orion Theater or anything, but you are in a position of decision making. Yeah. And what I'll say is this: how could you have been ready for something like that if you did not have the preparatory? Like, you probably slay at your job because you had 4 years of high school slaying, or not even just slaying, but learning and growing in the space of event coordination. And basically that's what you did. I mean, you weren't just tech, you weren't just over audio, you weren't just over stage management, you did all of it. Yeah. And you know, if people needed to be coordinated, you were the one calling, you know, as a kid, you know what I'm saying? I remember days when you were, you know, everything from getting lunch for the staff and crew to, like, you know, literally just hours on hours on hours yelling at people. I remember you had to yell at a lot of people. I remember getting yelled at a couple times by you.
I'm so sorry.
This is my time to jump you. This is
that's going to be our whole high school reunion. Is me saying, I'm so sorry.
I brought you into a trap so I could cuss you out. Yeah, now, I'm just kidding.
I'm here. I get it.
No, listen, first off, as a man, as I'm an adult and as I am a man, I respect, and a professional, I respect a person who is trying to make something great by being diligent. And one of the things, like, I remember the quiet on sets. I remember the, you know, all the things that you had to maintain for us to have a good show so that the school could have a good record and this and that and that and this, a good reputation. It just, like I said, it makes me very proud that you were able to do that and also have to live a high school and do homework. Like, what? You were doing homework and also being a grown adult. Okay.
It was a lot.
You're clearly a juggernaut, a superwoman. But, you know, so I just wanted to give you your flowers for that, because I do think God, like, even me, I didn't have a normal childhood. As you guys know, I had my own little situation being in foster care and stuff. And so in my eyes, I felt like I couldn't be a high schooler. And can I say that you handled
that, like, so well? Because I don't think, I don't remember you sharing your story until I think like the end of high school. And I think it was such I don't want to say it's a shock, because I think that's the wrong word, but everyone was so proud of you. And I hope you felt that, because I didn't know. Well, I can only speak for myself. Right. I didn't know. Like, I didn't know what you were going through when you got home from school. And so, like, the way that you handled yourself was was amazing. And so I'm giving you your flowers because of the fact that, like, you did what you had to do. And, like, after we knew, we were so proud. Like, we were proud of you before because you're Jamar. But, like, just knowing what you had to face, you know. And so, no, but you're
I wouldn't say it like that, but okay.
No, but, like, you're so much more than that. And so I think that, like, even now, I'm proud of you for doing this podcast, you know, for this platform.
Thank you.
For giving people this platform, for giving myself this platform, you know. So proud of you.
I thank you for that. And I'll just say God was good. One of the things that I've learned too, that when God has a purpose for you, or when you accept your purpose, I don't know which one, it might be a little bit of both, but when you have a future, God will protect you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And sometimes you'll go through stuff, but 9 times out of 10, it's either growth or it's some sort of, trial and tribulation that you must go through to learn.
Like a redirection.
Yeah. And I think God protected me during those days because, you know, it was a dangerous environment. I could have been in a lot worser place in life if I took certain roads. Right. But God was just so good, and good friends too, good people, good grounded people that kept me sane, kept me, you know, just feeling like a normal person. So I you know, a mixture of all of that and mentors and, you know, things like that, all of that, by God's grace, I am thankful that I left high school with a sound mind and was able to still be a functioning person in society. That is a blessing to me. I will never take that for granted. Thank you for that. And but yeah, you know, excuse me. What I'll say is, actually, guys, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back with the Road to Greatness podcast. Hey, guys, we are back with the Road to Greatness podcast. Of course, I got the Torian Blackburn with us, and let's get back to it. So let's talk about you're in high school. You're now, you know, you're getting things done. You're getting this preparation. Like I said, you didn't know it at the moment, but it was all preparation for what you would be doing as an adult. Because, I mean, literally everything you do now was training back in high school. So, I mean, God, the competitive edge that you have, and that's what I wanted to say about that. God gave you an edge over other people. And sometimes as God's children or like as people, humans, we get upset when God makes us different or special. But it's like, nah, we got to be happy about that. Yeah. Like, yeah, you weren't able to hang out and be cool and do all that stuff. But the people who are hanging out and being cool, I mean, I don't like they're like, kind of struggling right now. Like,
I mean, well, I'm not gonna speak on that.
You know
but
what I mean?
Like I mean, it truly, like, looking back, I was like, dang, I ain't going no party. Like, where the party's at? Like,
I get what you're saying, but then it's like, but let me tell you of the people who I know who were in the mix. The people in the mix have babies now. The people in the mix have STDs now. The people in the mix have have been bad relationships with this person, dropped out of this school, can't find this job, whatever. So, and I'm not saying all of them, God bless, like, you could party a little bit and still be successful. Okay, cool. But if you want to become something great, you have to sacrifice something.
Yeah, you have to. And I think, like, that was something that I realized. And I really didn't see it until, like, COVID happened. And, like, my senior year of high school, I remember, this is so bad. I don't think I've ever admitted this out in public.
Juicy.
But we had, like, COVID parties.
Right.
Like, when it first happened, we were like,
calling the police on you.
We
got him. We got her.
Okay, but the backstory is I went to the University of Montevallo, which is like 30 minutes south of Birmingham. There's nothing to do. Everything's shut down. And so it didn't really affect us at the time. So we were like, you know what? Let's just throw some parties. And so, like, I would probably say we had COVID party number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And it was just like, different people's places. I think one time it was at my house. I remember the Kappas on campus, they had came out, and one of my friends was a Kappa, and he was like, Torian, can we have the after party at your spot? I was like, yeah, COVID party number 5, like, make it poppin'. Like,
yeah, so y'all were lit.
That happened, but then it was just like, then they're like, okay, y'all are getting out early for spring break, and then y'all are just never coming back. And so that's kind of when it clicked for us, like, oh my gosh, like, this is bigger than anything.
Right.
And so it was like, we finished our senior year online, and then I'm so grateful because in that time I was in the School of Business. And so a lot of my friends were accountants, and they had their internships,
right,
and people were getting let go from their internships. Nobody was hiring. Nobody knew what was going on. And so at the time, I had an internship that this was my second semester because I'd done it in the summer, and then I had a light load my second semester, and I emailed my boss, and I was like, hey, it's my last semester of my senior year. Like, I have a light load. Like, I can drive up to Birmingham 3-4 times a week. Can I come back? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. And shout out, she's also my sorority sister, Ski Weirs. We love them. But I remember getting a call, and she was like, hey, I want to sit down with you. I literally called my dad and was like, I'm about to get fired. I was like, my internship is done. Like, we're in the middle of coronavirus. Like, there's no way.
Right.
She literally sat me down and was like, hey, I want to hire you full time to be my analyst.
And this is where at?
This was at Renaissance Bank. I was the Community Development and Corporate Social Responsibility Analyst.
Right. What was your degree, by the way?
My degree, I had my major was management and my minor was accounting.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and so I got hired full time.
But that's still kind of like community.
Very community.
Like it's kind of similar to what you do now.
It very much is.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Gotcha. Is that the position you're in and the position you were in? Are these things that they want a college degree from normally?
I would say, yeah. I think it's kind of coupled with, especially my position now. I think it's helpful.
Okay.
I would say my experience within the Huntsville community and just with event logistics and logistics in general.
Right.
I think
like what you did at Lee and what you also worked for. We don't even hear about this place no more, but the Von Braun Center at some point, right? Didn't you do a little bit of
something?
Okay.
I wasn't like officially employed with them.
But you've been a part of backstage at some point.
Yeah, but I had friends who did events and did theatrical productions at the Von Braun Center. So I guess I can check that off a little bit.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
By saying like I sort of worked at the Von Bronson.
Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's like with that setup, okay, I see how you could segue into, community event at a major amphitheater or whatever. I could see how that came about. Okay, well, okay, so tell me this then. So first off, guys, just to recap on some of the gems she's already dropped for us. She's very grateful, humble. She's humble. She has humility. And I think that's a big role when you're doing things like this, because when you can get too ego based, people might not want to hire you, or you might get hired for the wrong reasons. But I just think that was a very big gem. And then two, we kind of talked about how God sometimes will prepare you in a season where you're thinking you're missing out. You know what I'm saying? But God was actually kind of, giving you the leverage you'll need one day to be in a boss position or be in a leadership position. So don't ever fret locking in, because even if you missed out on something, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the reward for it.
Oh, for sure.
10 out of 10, actually. You're going to get the reward for it.
I mean, coronavirus really gave me the opportunity to do my master's.
Right. And what was that in?
Business administration.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because if we were not in a coronavirus, I probably would not have done my master's.
Right. So what do you think, how much do you think, okay, as a person who is who's educated, you have your master's right now, right? As a person who's educated, how do you feel about education and the workforce as of 2025?
I will never downgrade the fact that I am educated.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, having my education, it has provided me with a lot of resources that I am very grateful to have. I would not be able to do my job if I did not have them. I would not be Torian without those resources that have came with me being educated. However, I truly think it's about who you know and those relationships that matter. I will say,
have you seen, as you've been climbing the ladder, have you seen other people who might have been in the same rooms with you and have big decision-making power that might not have went the education route? Is there still hope for someone who's listening who might not have took that route to be in these spaces and places?
I think there's always hope. I will never say, like, just because I'm educated, I deserve more, or that I deserve more. But I truly think it's like when you are in these rooms, it's truly about making those connections. I would not be where I am if I did not utilize the relationships that I have with people that I've met. I would not have been at Renaissance Bank if it wasn't for Dr. Tracy Moran Adams, who was an AKA, who crossed at Montevallo. She gave me the opportunity to
shout out.
She gave me the opportunity to be her intern, hired me on full time. She supported me through me getting my master's by keeping me employed. Thank you so much. And then I transitioned to working for Generator, which is a venture capital firm. Nice. I literally was on, LinkedIn one day, and I was like, I kind of want to move back to Huntsville. I think I kind of want something different.
Right.
So
Huntsville's not a bad place to live.
It's not. It's
back in the day, we had a lot of stuff to say about it, but as I'm getting older and seeing other cities and states, I mean, Huntsville's peaceful, It's
amazing. Yeah. I mean, and I connected through LinkedIn with Haley Medved-Kidrick, who was looking for a program director for an accelerator based out of Hudson Alpha, the Biotechnology Institute.
Right.
Became their program director. And then just through me working and going through 2 conferences that Generator had, one of the partners, Maggie Brickerman, who I'm very grateful for, was like, Torian, do you want to plan 5 conferences for us a year in the Midwest? I said, as long as you don't make me go to Minnesota and Wisconsin in the winter, I'm all for it.
Right.
So I'm grateful that I was able to, be remote but plan conferences. And then there was Haley, who I met when I was still doing theater with independent musical production.
Right.
She was she worked out at New Hope.
Okay.
And we just became Facebook friends, and we've been Facebook friends for a long time. And she works at the Orion Amphitheater as our people operations manager.
Right.
And she put out a Facebook post that said, "Hey, do you want to work with me?" And it was the community outreach and events manager position. And at the time, I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm happy at my job. Like, I don't need it." I'm at. Shit hit the fan. Excuse my language.
Oh no, this is a very you speak freely.
Perfect. Yeah, shit hit the fan. I was like, where is that job listing?
Right, exactly.
I literally applied, and the next day the job listing was gone. And I was like
you got the job, or
it was like this job is no longer available.
Wow.
Like they closed it.
So you literally wait, you caught it the last possible day.
I caught it the last.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Let's speak on it.
I'm sorry. Let's pause right there.
No, yeah.
You got to hear this, guys. You got to hear this, guys. God said. God sent a person to say, "Hey, I got a job opportunity. I would love you to come do it." Tori said, "No." Tori said, "I'm sorry, guys." Tori said, "No, I am not doing that. I'm good where I'm at. I'm comfortable." Right?
Very comfortable is a good word.
Well, because this is what I'm trying to make it spiritual, because that's what happens to us. We get comfortable. We're like, I'm content. I make good money. What do I need to hustle and grind for? What do I need to go put myself in a whole new environment and have to learn something new? Mm-hmm. But God said, "No, Tori, I need you to go to this job." And so something went wrong with the first job. Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, that's what God often does. God will say, "Oh, you're not listening to me. Oh, you're not trying to take that risk."
He made me very uncomfortable.
Like, and
I was like, "Oh,
well, let's make it unbearable. Like you're about to leave."
Yeah.
And then that's when you go seeking what God had for you in the first place. Yeah. And anyways, and then you went back to the job application and you applied, and then the next day God said, "All right, let me take this off the website, because the person who I needed to do this role has now stepped in and did what she was supposed to do." Yeah. And I just think that's such a beautiful concept, because every time I find myself in a role where only I could do the role, like only I could be that person, it was always after something that I was really comfortable with got taken away from me, or made uncomfortable, and then I had to leave, And so, I mean, man, if we can lean into opportunities and risks more, sometimes we could avoid the uncomfortable. You could have avoided that uncomfortableness if you just applied for it, and so I say this.
I think I needed that uncomfortability in order to be like, all right, that's not it.
And I think that's, I guess, I don't know if it's better off to just let God take the job away from you, or that person away from you that has no business being in your life, or is it better to take heed of the warnings, or not even warnings, but like hints? Because if you just try to pay attention to what God is doing in your life, you'll see He's nudging you in a certain direction. Yeah. And certain people will, for me, a lot of people who I trust will come to me and tell me, "Hey, you should do this." And then I say, God, you've sent, this person is a blessing in my life. Yeah. So this information most likely is helpful to me. And so yeah, but it's just like, just don't be afraid when God is ready to change it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid. Just, not you, I'm talking about the audience.
No, but I'm definitely agreeing with what you're saying, and God will provide you confirmation in those moments.
And what was that? And what do you feel like that was for you?
I think it was funny, because once I applied, the interview process happened very fast. I went through 3 different interviews. And the last one was with Ryan Murphy, who at the time was our general manager, and then now he is a partner with our hospitality organization now. But it was so funny, because when we were on that interview, I was literally in an airport getting ready to fly to Minnesota to do a conference. Right. And I was like, this is some risky shit that I'm doing. Yeah. But Jesus, you are in control.
But you were the person, though.
Yeah, and it was funny, because we were in that interview, and it was like a conversation. Right. Like, if you know Ryan Murphy, Ryan Murphy is like, he's spitballing, he's telling you ideas. And I remember coming off of that interview and being like,
I got that.
No. Oh. I was like, I don't know how that went. Because I don't feel like that was an interview. I feel like I was just being told what the job was, but it
Right.
wasn't like a confirmation. That was not my confirmation
Right.
for me. But I think my confirmation was after I got hired. My boss, Lena Weldon Mayer, she just changed her name. That's why
Right.
I
Right.
said that last name like that.
Right.
but she was like, yeah, Torian, I saw your application come in, and she was like, I instantly knew. She was like, you did your screening interview with our HR manager. She was like, we instantly knew it was you. I was like, dang, what made y'all take so long?
No, and it's so crazy. I don't know if I want to reveal this yet, but I work for a college, and I do photo and video and stuff. And so I had a similar situation. Like I got a person actually sent me first off, I was a serial entrepreneur before this. I still am, clearly. But before this, I was a full-time entrepreneur. I hadn't worked a job in 3-4 years. And a friend of a friend sent me a job application to this school, just random. I apply for it. We do the interview, and I go in there and I'm like, this is a part-time job. It's supposed to be $15 an hour. It's not even like a real thing. Yeah. And I go in like, man, I'm not getting this job. Like, this is just me wasting my time. I'm about to go get back to my entrepreneurship. I'm not getting this job. I ended up killing the interview. They were asking me questions that were almost like, hey, we're about to hire you, so we just need to know what you're going to do once we hire you. Yeah. And because it was like budget stuff. Like, oh, what would you do if we gave you this budget and you could buy whatever equipment, stuff like that. And so afterwards, when they called me back about the job offer, they were like, yeah, the only thing is, except for it being $15 an hour and part-time, we want to make you full-time, and we want to bring you in at X amount of $1,000 a year.
That's amazing.
Right. And I was like shocked, because I'm like, what? Like, this is not what I expected. I thought this was going to be a dud of a job, maybe even a newsome to me, But it's just crazy because that sounded very similar. It was like, it's like you didn't even expect that went well, and then but they knew. Yeah. And people told me earlier that out of all the candidates, there was people who were, I don't have a degree, by the way, guys. I'm not educated. I have a high school diploma, but I'm an entrepreneur. And
that speaks for a lot too.
And what do you mean by
I think that adds a certain, I will always say, like, I give credit, like, to entrepreneurs. I know myself. I am not disciplined enough to be an entrepreneur. I am not. Like,
I'm sorry, I disagree with that.
What?
I disagree with that.
Rules and regulations. If I'm my own boss, I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm about to sit in this bed till 4
o'clock. The thing is about entrepreneurship, when you're young, maybe you're your own boss. Like, when you do, like, as a photographer, I can say no to this shoot. I could do this shoot. I can come up to shoot this time or come early. Yeah. But we're being real. When you start treating a business like a real business, it's not that anymore. Like, for example, if I partner up with a photographer in Huntsville, Maya Perez, beautiful work. Shout out to Maya.
Because Maya's been killing it.
Very long time, way before me and her partnered up. Her social media is Asleen Co on Instagram and Asleen Photo and Media, or Asleen Photo and Media on Instagram. Check her out. She's amazing. She kills it. Long story short, though, as we're doing business and we're doing more business, I'm realizing that when you're doing stuff with other people, it can't be your rules. It has to be set rules. Yes. And people have to follow. Everybody involved has to follow those rules so that we get jobs done and get work done and get things, get more money.
And I think you are very diligent in that. I think I know some business owners. I'm not gonna call nobody out. Right. This is not a call out.
Right.
If you watching this,
because it's in Huntsville specifically, it's some people doing folks dirty out here.
But I promise you, if I work with you, I work with amazing people.
Right.
But there are some people that I do not work with.
Right.
That I've heard of experiences with that I'm just like, yeah, see, that's why.
No, that's crazy. And it goes down to professionalism at the end of the day.
It does.
I don't ever want to be seen as a non-professional, so I'm always going to try to bring the utmost of, like, diligence if that I can bring, of course.
Wait, let me plug this one more time.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
This has nothing to do with people that I work with.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I feel. Let me put that disclaimer out there.
Right.
Because I feel like some people may watch this and be like, Torian, I know exactly who you're talking about. You do this event with them. No.
She ain't throwing no shade, guys.
I am not like. I may have to plug all the people I work with right now because they're gonna think that I'm talking about them and I'm not.
Right.
But there are people who do come our way who we definitely have to vet that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like, I just want to make sure your event goes how you would like it to. But my thing is, and I've realized at my job, and my boss, Lena, has told me this time and time again. She said, Torian, you cannot care about somebody's event more than they do.
100%. 100%. And that just, and with people in general, you know, we all have family members who you want them to succeed more than they want to succeed. Even your spouse might be like that. So that energy of like trying to go harder for someone else's stuff than they are. But at the same time, though, I applaud you, and I almost want to say that you being the hero that you are, you can't help yourself from being diligent and wanting to see the best, especially if your name is connected to it. Like, can we talk about reputation and names and like even the Orion theaters, the amphitheaters? It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Their reputation, like you just don't want to. You don't want to see that go to crap or go to shit or anything like that. You want to see it be, in the best light that it can possibly be in. And I respect that. So I just give you your kudos for that.
Yeah. And I think and one thing that I love about my job is I always challenge people to hold me accountable.
Right.
You know, I work with many people who I have formed relationships outside of my job with.
Right.
And those relationships mean so much to me. And so I always tell them, like, if you think I can do something better, tell me. Like, I am not above getting, criticism, constructive criticism. Because I don't know everything. Like you said, I'm only 26.
Right.
I literally think like
all of us are young.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
And
it seems like you have a growth mindset.
For sure.
Like, you don't just think you've peaked out and like I'm the best of the best. And that's And I will say this, that the way you had your high school experience, no one would blame you if you ended up having that mindset, because you, like I said, you from a very young age, you had to be competent. You had to be able to do a job and do it well, or hire someone to do a job and do it well. And so, the fact that you fight against your own ego a lot, like, and like keep yourself humble with it and humility. I mean, that's just so dope. That's a very underrated quality that you have, because honestly, with your accomplishments, truly, you could talk your shit, like truly. Like, I'm just being real, and sometimes I fight with my ego every day. And, sometimes I'd be like, man, like, dude, like, you really did something, you did this. But at the end of the day, I always come back to my core and say, hey, dude, like, I'm learning still, and I'm getting better. And I have people, Tevin, shout out to TK, man, Tevin Keith. I have people who constantly drill into me to try to become better. Shout out to Lance Peary, who mentored me and like, of course. And, these people, and there's plenty of more people too. I'm just naming some of the highlights, but these people have, poured into me and showed me my flaws and, how I could be better and how I could move different and better and more successful. So I will always try to go back to the core. But at the same time, though, there's no one that will blame you or me, I don't think, for feeling confident in what we've earned and what we've done and what we can do. Right. So, but yeah, okay. So I got a few more things I want to talk about before we get out of here. So we're moving along the timeline. You went to Montevello. Did you get both your degrees from Montevello?
No, I went to A&M for my master's.
Awesome. So you came back home and you were working on the masters and working at the same time, right? Yeah. Okay, that's so dope. That's very dope. I guess I kind of want to talk about what were some of your struggles that, the Road to Greatness podcast, let me tell you a little bit about it. The Road to Greatness podcast is about, Road to Greatness in general. It's about being on the path to greatness. It's not about the destination, you being successful. It's about the path. And I like to highlight specifically the bad things. And the reason why, and a lot of people don't like to do that, they consider that negative. But the reason why is because some people out here who are listening might not know how to get through their bad season or their mountain top. And it's like, I want to know how you climbed yours. I want to know what happened that could have messed you up, that could have took you down a darker path, that could have had you given up. What was it? What was your mountain? What was your, valley or whatever?
I think my biggest one was trying not to feel like I had missed out. That was a major one of, going through school, going through all of these different experiences. But I will say, like, for me, when it comes to, like, relationships, when it comes to just life in general, I think I was maybe a little bit of a late bloomer just because I was always so focused on my education, getting a job, making sure I was, stable, making sure I had everything together in my head from the outside looking in.
Right.
So basically it was like, if the house looked good, that's great. But like, Torian, on the inside, how do you feel?
Right.
So I think for me, it was like, I'm so grateful for my friendships. I have amazing friends, but I think I was late in that aspect because I think it was very hard for me to form friendships growing up because of the fact that I always put this hat on as someone in charge. I didn't know.
Well, it's hard to be friends with the boss.
Yeah. And I didn't know how to take that hat off. And I think even looking back today, I think that was an obstacle that I'm still facing of like, yes, I have amazing friends. I would say I have amazing childhood friends, but I don't think that I have as many because of the fact that like I had on that I'm in charge role. And honestly, looking back, I'm like, Torian, you effed yourself up because of that.
Right.
Know?
And I just want to say, I just want to say that, do we need to do a quick pause? All right. Hey, guys, we'll be right back with the Road to Greatness podcast. We're with Torian. We're getting real juicy with the details. All right, guys, we are back with the Road to Greatness podcast. Of course, we are with Torian Blackburn, and we're just getting down to her story and how things came to be. So I want to just speak on this a little bit because I realize that this is kind of your thing, Is that me? Okay. Yeah, just turn it. Who does it, broski? It's okay. Yeah, I'm in a podcast. Do not disturb. Yep. All right, guys. Sorry about that. You already know technical difficulties. You already know how I do. We ratchet on the road to greatness. No, I'm just kidding. But no, like, I just want to talk on this and maybe hopefully have a healing moment. You can leave with a different, fresh perspective. I don't know. Hopefully. We'll see. Yeah. But what I will say is this. I need to really reiterate that you didn't miss anything. And what I mean by that is, yeah, there's some dope people out there. There are some, there are friends to be made. There are experiences to be had. But when I tell you, I've been around the block. When I tell you I've been with the people who I thought was going to make me feel something. Because Torian, we have the same kind of problem where yours was like, oh, I have to be in charge of goals. I have to be on top of stuff. I have to be this,
I mean, and I felt like that external pressure.
Right.
And it's like, I think that amplified, like, I went to the Academy for Academics and Arts.
Right.
And so working with Debbie Fleischman
and then
Vivian Atkins,
and then anybody after.
It's a pretty hard. That's a lot of pressure with those two women,
especially when
looking at you
when they have decided that you're the one, like you're going to be that person to help glue the mess of the theater programs and programs during those days. But what I would say is this though, like for me, it was more like I wasn't allowed to hang with friends. So it wasn't that I had to be in charge or anything like that, and I couldn't. It was like I literally just couldn't do it. Yeah. And so we both ended up missing those hanging out after high school, doing this, just chilling, vibing, whatever, getting into trouble, one thing I'll say is this though, a lot of those people who did that, they hate each other, man. They're cheating on each other with each other. It's messy down there. Yeah. And I can't stress enough that God can still bring you friends in a friend group, in a strong friend group, and fun and spontaneity and all these other things without you having to have had it during that era. And I'll say this too, just how you feel like you're mature. I'm pretty sure you feel like you're mature, like you're very mature. You're more mature than an average 26-year-old.
I think it's funny that you say that because people perceive me as that. But like when I go home, I'm like, what?
Super childish. Like,
I'm like, what?
I'm literally one of the girlies. I just wanted to.
After I got hired, I was like, oh my God, y'all really hired a 26-year-old. Like, I am
oh my God. Like, who let me through the door?
My favorite quote is, I am just a girl. I am just a girl in this world who is like going through life. Like, but it really is. People are like, oh my gosh, you're so mature. I'm like, do you really know me?
Right. But it's like, for people like me and the people I hang with and the people who I've grown a friendship group with, who God kind of put in my life, it wasn't like I seeked them or I was in the mix trying to be in folks' face. Yeah. These are people who just consistently were honest, true, and loving to me. And those people, we respect people like you. We enjoy company with people like you. We don't like bums. We don't like people who are always in the mix, always in folks' face, always at the clubs, Huntsville clubs, and this and that. That's not cute. We like to go out of town. We like to go to Nashville and see T-Pain. We like to, I'm just saying.
On a random Thursday.
But you can't do that if you were in the mix 5 years ago,
and
6 years ago.
And it's so funny that you say that because I work with two local promoters, DJ Scheme and Tavares Battle.
Shout out.
Of Lux Life Hospitality. If you ever have a chance to go to one of their events, please go. They're amazing. But it was so funny because I was talking to TJ the other day. He's like, Torian, are you gonna come through for who was it? Don Jr.'s set at Dapper House? I was like, TJ, I be enjoying my rent at the house. He's like, Torian, you don't go out nowhere. Right. I'm like, because I don't, but I think.
Because you never did before.
Because I never did before.
And you're grown, so why are we, okay.
But it's not even that. It's just like, and it's so funny because I always tell him, I was like, I'm never invited, but I do get invited, but it's just like, it's not my space. But like, one thing I do love is like just going out and supporting people. And unfortunately at that time I couldn't for Don Jr., but he's a great community connection that I have.
Right.
But super happy to support them and everything that they do and the work that they are doing at the Orion.
But you don't naturally find yourself outside.
Not really. It's just it's not my element.
This is what I'll say. This year I've decided, because like I told you, we have the same problem. So for years I was the same way. When I came back from college, when I went to college, I wilded out. I wilded out.
Yeah, me too.
But I had to get it out, but then I was smart enough to say I'm not in the mindset to like be wasting hundreds of $1,000s a year, because I went to University of Alabama and that tuition's crazy. But not 100,000 a year. It's probably like 25, 27 or something like that. But long story short, I decided that 2025 is going to be my outside year. Like, this is the year where now it's time for me to have fun.
On that same vein, I'm on like the 2025 year of it's time for just me to enjoy myself.
Right.
Like in everything that I do. And like my thing is like, okay, if I want to go out to a bar, but none of my friends are available, Torian, you're still going.
Exactly.
Like Torian, you're still showing up. Like you're still having fun. That's 2025.
I'm gonna invite you to some stuff. Okay. There's all types of festivals in Huntsville. Some of them you might have set up yourself, but I'm gonna make sure you're outside this year. So listen, and we're fun with it. Like we're not wild. Like you ain't gonna hear no shootouts, because all these clubs getting shot up and stuff. It's just so daunting But no, the type of fun we have, it's legit, it's wholesome. So,
Yeah.
you know, just know you're not the only person, and you should open yourself up to meeting the people that go where you're loved, not where you're tolerated.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's when I love going out. Like my favorite thing is like a lot of my friends, you know, I've formed in Birmingham, and my best friend is actually in Boston in dental school.
Right.
And so it's like when we link up, it's like, okay, yeah, we're going out. It's that time.
Right.
And it's like sometimes I'll text them and be like, listen, I just need to have one good drunk night with my friends.
Right. Inside. Or whatever.
Outside.
Oh, outside.
At Innisfree in Birmingham.
Right. Okay.
Glad they like I just need to like strip away like the corporate Torian, I like to call her.
Exactly.
And just have fun.
As you should. And yeah. So I think as I'm getting older, and this is a gem I'd like to drop, I think as we're getting older, I'd like to have more friends that are mature and fun. Instead of just fun.
Because that's a whole other different fun.
Right. Like let's go in on a beach house maybe not anytime soon, but in the future. Let's go in on a vacation house. We get it during the spring break. We get it during fall break.
Yeah.
And cabins, whatever. Let's go to a wine tasting.
Oh my God, yes.
Like can we go to a wine tasting? Can we do anything? I mean, just any cruises. Like, let's go get on a cruise. Bottomless drinks.
There's a good balance. There really is a good balance of it, and I think like
let's do business together. Let's invest together. Let's I don't want it to always be degenerate fun. Like we can actually right. You know what I'm saying? We can actually grow and do fun things and grow together. Like I hear about friends who are older. Like even my boy. I ain't even gonna say no names, but I know people who. Like I said, they go in on a vacation house and like share it throughout the year, I mean, I'm just saying like a timeshare or whatever. So, the sky's the limit, but
sure.
Absolutely. But yeah. So Tori.
Yes.
As we're getting close to the end.
Already.
Right. I know, right? I feel like we just sat down, but as we know, this is shot before we do your day in the life video.
Yeah.
But I'm just excited for that video, and I guess I want to give people a chance to hear about it. So, what do you, what does a day in the life look like for you when it comes to what you do at your job?
I think every day is different. I think if it's not, so I would say like on a regular day where there's not an event, like a lot of it is just keeping pulse on all the other events that we have coming up in the upcoming months. A lot of it is shooting dates, but to our concert programming manager to see if they're open to book dates that we need.
A lot of phone calls, a lot of emails.
A lot
calendar
of
checking,
calendar creeping for meetings for different events. And then on an event day, it's really much preparing for that event. So on that day that we're filming, we'll be having our Ladies of Blast showcase. So that is an Orion-produced event that we're doing in partnership with the Huntsville Madison County Public Library. They have a platform that spotlights local artists.
Oh, wow.
And so in honor of Women's History Month, we are showcasing 5 women who are a part of that Blast program. And we're partnering with Huntsville, the Huntsville Music Office. They're coming in to support that as well. But it's really just a showcase of 5 local women artists who are doing their original music, who are on the Blast program platform, and just being able to say like, hey, these are 5 diverse women who are worth listening to and are in the Huntsville community.
Wow. First off, that's crazy. That's I'm super excited for it, guys. So and just to let you guys know, because this is the first time y'all are hearing this, I am coupling podcast episodes with a day in the life video, because I don't think just listening to people's story is enough. I want to take it a step further. You guys already know Road to Greatness was started with a documentary series on my cousin who ended up failing his senior year of high school, and he was a basketball player. And so he literally went to a JUCO college, started from scratch, no, support in anything. And by the end of the journey of the podcast, he ended up at a D1 college.
That's amazing.
So it's that road to greatness story that of just putting in the work and the grind and the discipline and the sacrifice, and then actually seeing the rewards from that. And I wanted to take it back to our roots. So doing the visual and actually showing you guys what, some of the amazing people that are on my podcast, that are on the Road to Greatness podcast are doing. It's a blessing for me and our audience. So I'm excited to show y'all that. I'm basically I'm gonna be a fly on the wall and just learning, soaking up, and absorbing the environment that Torian does her thing in. So I'm super excited about it, guys. Y'all just don't know. Two things I want to do before we walk out. One, could you please let the audience know any important information that they need to know about setting up an event with Orion, or reaching out about an event, or even soliciting their ideas for events? Because there's a lot of people who might want to do something at the Orion Theater, but there's a barrier, and they quite don't know that there is people to communicate with or to fill out paperwork and things like that. So could you just take a minute and kind of tell them what they need to do to get right?
Yeah, for sure. So the easiest way for me to get event request forms is to fill an event request form out on theorionhuntsville.com. If you fill that out, that request will instantly drop into my email, and I'm able to kind of go from there, because it gives me a good basis of information of, the date, if you want it public or private, like an overview of the event that you're wanting to have at the Orion. So that is, first and foremost, the easiest way to get an event request over to me. If you're interested in following me on Instagram, it's at iam.torian, Torian, on Insta. And yeah, if you want to reach out that way, please feel free to. Always happy to just be a resource for people. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned, and I think that's my superpower, is just connecting people and being a resource for people and being there for people and supporting people. So however I can do that, I am more than happy.
Is there any tips that you would give a person who might fill out that form that would kind of, when you're trying to fill out for something, by filling it out the right way first, you might not have to have it sent back or denied or anything. So is there any tips to have a solid, good proposal?
I would say front load me with all the information that you can. Because I think in the initiation of that event and us going through it, there's certain things that I have to take note of, as far as like if an event fits within our certain pillars. And we're tasked with that, not only by our management, but also by the city of Huntsville. A lot of people don't know that the Orion Amphitheater is a city facility. It is not a privately owned venue.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so TVG Hospitality, which is a hospitality company that I officially work for, we were hired by the city of Huntsville to come in and manage the Orion Amphitheater. And a big
they're not going to have Ratchet Thursday at the Orion Theater, because that's not in the values of Huntsville City.
Yeah, and to speak to that is the reason why TVG Hospitality got the bid was because of how focused it was on the community. I also don't know a lot of people know this, but Ben Lovett, who's the keyboardist of Mumford and Sons, is actually the CEO of TVG Hospitality.
Oh, wow! Do you guys see him? Like, you ever met him? Seen him?
He drops in randomly.
Wow!
Like, we made.
Isn't that cool?
It is cool. Like,
we love some Mumford and Sons around
Pride
here.
Last year, for the Pride Fest last year in October, we got a text. I was like, "Hey, Ben's on his way. We'll text you when we need to open the gate."
Right.
And we're like, huh? We didn't even know this man was in the country.
Wow.
And so sometimes he'll drop in. But it's fun because he has that outlook of what it is to be an artist.
Right.
So that's why, like, at the Orion, our artist rooms are not just a box that's
wow.
that has just random furniture in it. It's thought out. We have it.
Comfortable
Literally
and-
looks like a living room, and we want it
Right.
to be comfortable.
Wow,
And
professional,
that
very professional.
right, and that extends not only to the concert artists, that also extends to any artist that performs at the Orion, like at a community event. We're going to put you in an artist room. We're going to make sure you're set up with, fun food and beverages because we want
Right.
you to have that experience.
The jelly beans, but only the green ones. Only
Hey.
the green ones. But
That's a fun conversation.
right, right. So because we definitely gonna have to get out of here. Just real quick, I just want to say this, Tori, if you're able to handle what another business needs for event coordination, you're able to be an entrepreneur. I don't ever want to hear that I don't think I could be an entrepreneur talk, because honestly, what you do now already supersedes my level of discipline and diligence. So please believe in yourself in that capacity. You never know where the sky takes you, and one day somebody might hit you with an opportunity and you might deny it, and then God might make something uncomfortable so that you get it. Okay, so
You will be my first call.
Thank you.
Jamar,
please come back on the
business.
pod. Come back on the pod, and we'll talk about it and shout it out.
Oh,
but
for sure.
But go ahead. This is our last final thoughts. Go ahead and just do any type of last minute shout outs, or if you have a business or a hustle or a grind or any type of whatever that you want to solicit to our audience. Just go ahead and take your time, or if you just have some last words that you want to get out to the people, just take the time and do your thing.
Yeah, I would say, my biggest thing, and the reason why I'm here, the reason why I'm sitting here specifically, is tap into your relationships, tap into the connections that you have. A large part of my job is those relationships. I would not be here without people like Doc Savage. I would not be sitting here without people like Lee Adams, Sharona Drake Henderson, Tavares Battle, DJ Scheme, DJ Don Jr. Those people are people who I trust and who have trusted me to do what I do. And I'm grateful for them. I would not be here without the amazing Orion team. Lena Mayer, Rachel Shaw, Alex Craig. I wouldn't be able to be here without them. So on one hand, I have the team that I work with, who I'm eternally grateful for, that have my back. And on the other hand, I have people in the community who I have their back and I know they have mine. And that is truly, both of those are a different side to the same coin of saying, trust in the people that you have relationships with. Share your passions with them, because those who believe in you will work for you if you work for them.
Right.
And be a good person. And that's what I pride myself on, and I pray that everyone that I encounter can trust me.
Right.
And that I'm doing their passion a service.
Wow.
And I'm supporting them and doing what's right for them.
Also, I'm hoping to get on that list of people, by the way. I am.
Listen, come on.
I got you. I don't know what I need to do as a photographer, videographer to get in your sphere, but if there's ever a time when you need that, any of those services, you just let me know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be down, and I think I don't want to speak for Maya, but I think Maya would also be down as well as my business partner. So
and that's my biggest thing is like I said, I don't know unless I know, and I always tell people who I work with, do not hesitate to text me, because I will need reminders, and do not blame it on my heart. It is truly the fact of there is so many tabs open in this head of mine that sometimes I just need you to re-click on it.
I know that's right. Seriously, that's the story of my life.
And that is what I truly tell people. It's like, if you
life.
text me, you are not bothering me. It's probably super helpful to me. So I'm super happy to plug you in and be able to be a resource for you.
Awesome.
And thank you for having me on, because I appreciate it.
Oh, no, this has been my pleasure for sure. Like I said, I feel like when I first saw you again after not seeing you from high school, the first thought I had was, oh my God, she is so beautiful. I had to get that out because, because it's very shocking to see us as adults now and grown, and I'm like, man, she really looks great. Like, she's rocking her 26, and And then the second thing was like, man, I've been hearing nothing but good things from you, social media wise. And then after you telling me a little bit of your story, I was like, man, no, you're a perfect candidate for like the Road to Greatness story. So, and I think you had a lot of gems that people needed to hear, and people need to see and hear the dream happening. If they don't see and hear it, they'll think that it was by luck. They'll think that you were just, I mean, yeah, we are blessed and we are lucky, but at the end of the day, a lot of this is hard work. A lot of this is leveraging and working your resources and your people that you are trusted with. Yeah. And so, they have to see this stuff. So I'm glad you could get on the podcast. It really has been my pleasure.
Thank you so
seriously,
much.
Seriously.
I appreciate it.
And we'll definitely do it again, because part of the Road to Greatness is that we do want to keep up with the people that come on here. This is not a one-time, one and done. This is, we would love to have you back, and we will bring you back if you would like to come.
Sure.
But all right, guys, that's it for the Road to Greatness podcast. You already know how we get down. Let me see if I got anything to tell y'all. First off, shout out to Carter Wedding Films and Asleen Media Photo and Media Co. We are doing everything from weddings to engagement shoots to actual corporate photography and videography services. If you guys have any photo and video needs, just reach out to me on social media. You can reach out at Shot by Jamar, or you can email me at carterweddingfilm@gmail.com. And also, my website is carterweddingfilm.com. Also, guys, be looking out for more episodes like this where we will pair it with a visual day in the life video. So be prepared for that. That's what the new season's talking about. This is my first video for 2025, so I do want to say, guys, get excited. Like, I haven't seen y'all since 2024, but we're in the third month now. Get excited. It's 2025. This year has a lot of energy. It has a lot of purpose. This is the year of the wood snake, if anybody keeps up with zodiacs. And it's supposed to be all about strategy, preparation, planning. When you plan, strategize, and prepare, you're going to thrive this year. So I just, if I could give any advice to anybody listening, make this the year that it all changed. That's my advice for y'all. Make this the year it all changed. Okay? All right, guys. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll see you next week. Let's do it.
Thanks.
Cut.